Hey folks, welcome back to the farm. It's pretty much bedtime, but I feel like I need to do a bit of fencing. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Let me show you what the plan is. This is Pig Corner in the bottom of the hill field where we did, well, we overwintered pigs on this area, but this is where we're basically going to have a bit of a handling area for sheep, and we're going to have 2 winter pens for pigs or farrowing or anything like that. So Tom dropped by and he put these posts in a few weeks ago. As you can see, electric fencing is just an absolute nightmare at the moment. Things are either not charging, the solar one's packed up. It's just, anyway, bit of a pain. What we're going to do is run some rails on these posts and stock net on the other side, and hopefully that's going to be pretty pig proof. We'll put a single strand of electric on the inside. This is how piglets are looking, which is all good. Bizarrely, we might actually have some more piglets this week. Looks like Lavender is pregnant and therefore will be farrowing in the next 5 days. Anyway, let's crack on before it gets dark. Plan of action is, got a load of these old cedar and larch boards. So instead of using half round rails, what we're going to do is going to try doing some boards, flat boards like these. And I think they should be fine. We're at 6-foot centers and these are 12-foot boards. Is that a bad idea or not? Yes. Cannot find the charger for the nail gun anywhere, so we'll see how long we can last. Right, I'm going to put a string line up first because the aim is to cut these posts because the ground's doing this and I want to backfill and build my levels up a little bit. I'm going to start with one maybe a foot off the ground, so I'm going to run the string line in first. The pigs are probably going to run through it and it's all going to be a pain, but let's do that. Right, I'd say that looks good enough. That's 300 mil, so we'll start our board above that just in case these ground levels build up over time, and we'll probably end up with 3 rails, but we'll start with 2. One side done, we've still got light. Pigs are trashing the truck. So I had intended for it to be above that string line to start with, so there'd be more of a gap underneath, but it's easier to have the string line above, otherwise you just end up catching it. So that's why it's a little bit low to the ground, but I can scrape that away with a digger. That's about what I was hoping for, just so the soil doesn't build up over time and hit it. So now I need to move this line up. I've moved it up the other end. I just need to go and measure it because I'm just basing it on the stock fencing spacings. I've tied it to that strand. So we'll measure there, come along, move that up, bish bash bosh, see if we can get these in before dark. Because they're pretty standard spacings on the wire, it ends up at 400, that string line the other end. So 400 there. We just need to decide whether that's going to be the bottom of our timber or the top. So it'll either be there or there. If we were just doing 2, I'd say there was fine, but I'm thinking a third, maybe a half round rail at the top might be good, so I'm going to go below it. All right, I give up. We had a fair crack at it. Boards are out ready. I'll do it in the morning. It's getting a bit noisy. Well, not noisy, dark, and it's noisy. But let's finish with a little look at the herbal ley. Look at that. It grew. And the pigs are desperate to get out on it. And interestingly, they left some courgette seeds last year. So the only veg we're actually growing on the farm this year happens to be volunteer courgettes. There's about 5 or 6 of them growing in the field. You never know, we might get a few off them before we start letting the sheep or cows in here. And I'm pretty sure a piglet has just run off with my leather glove. It's a bit hot and sweaty in there. They've got 2 arcs. They're all cramming together, and they've dragged a builder's bag in there just for giggles. I've taken down the electric fence. It wasn't doing anything anyway, so they can free roam overnight if they really want to. They seem so interested in the green stuff, they're not actually rooting it up. So we should be safe. Right, it's another day and we're back. Gonna get this finished. This is like my mid-breakfast job to get done. And good news is we had another arrival this morning. Lavender just farrowed 6 piglets overnight, which is a bit of a surprise. We didn't think she was pregnant, but it turns out she was. And I brought her up just in time. She's all tucked up there and she's absolutely perfect. Little litter. Small litter, but good. And this little menagerie have been fairly well behaved. They've been able to come out and roam, but they haven't. They've just been eating our nice herbal ley. They haven't done any turfing it up, which is good. So I'm going to carry on. I've brought down another 12 or so boards. So because this is slightly different from all the normal fencing, instead of putting a great big strainer post and building the strainers each end, it's a short run, but also I wanted the rails on there. So what I'm going to do is get the rails on there and then pull our stock net, because really that acts as one solid brace anyway. So we don't need to have the strainers. So we'll have the rails on this side and the stock fence on the other side. So that's in line. The only thing is when you rail something, it really shows up if any of the posts are off, and that 4 up from here, it goes in. But I don't think we can do much about that now. So I'll get an offcut, butt that up against there, mark it, rip it down, and we can put these rails in. Just about to tell you I've done, and I trashed it. They just had to wait 12 hours, not even 12 hours for me to come down this evening and put the stock fence and the electric up. And she's just rubbed herself on this. I mean, the only stainless nails I've got are 70, oh what are they, 65, something like that. She just pushed them straight out, which I knew they weren't strong enough for that. They were kind of just tacking it in place, but we'll come down later with some bigger stainless steel screws, or maybe even just some big galvanised 4-inch nails. Just clout it all in. Stock net can go on, and then a 10,000 volt line will sort them out and they'll learn a lesson. Piglet chaos. Oh, what a pig fail that was. I mean, I should have known those nails weren't going to be long enough. Right, here's a few weeks on and we are back on our pig pen, and yes, they did a fair good old attempt at trashing it. We fixed it back together, put some longer nails in, so our rails are all in place all the way to the end. Now we're going to get this wire in, because at the moment it's just a free-for-all. They've been enjoying all this field though. They haven't done any turfing around, and they're just happy as Larry, kind of eating away on all the herbal lay. Here's Miss Honey. Even their feed bill has gone down, because they just look at the size of her. She's feeding piglets and she's just fat as you like. So they've done a good job just roaming around with the lambs. But I would like to get them back in here, mainly because I need to at some point get the trailer backed up, get the piglets loaded, because they are ready to be weaned and sold, and then the girls can go over to the woods. Anyway, this is where we are. So we've got our rail in, which means we now can strain this without pulling all our posts out of the ground. So we're going to work out where we need to make a cut, and then we're going to put some gripples, go around this end. It's a shame we can't just do one continuous length up to the corner and round, but we'll try and do it with the high tensile wire that we've got. So in which case we need to pull one that way and one this way. Did the pigs pick it up? Do you reckon one of the pigs carried my hammer off? Making it up now. Right, we found the hammer. So we have now got our, I don't know how long it is, 30-metre strain done. It's not super tight, but because we don't have strainers on the end, we just got this post and rail. I think it's tight enough. Not stapled yet, but it's not going anywhere. So really, because it's going to be pigs and the occasional bit of sheep sorting once all that pen sorted, don't think we need any top strands. Maybe we could put one on there, one plain, but the other option is to cut all these, put a string line on, cut all those top posts nice and level, and then put half round on top. I just think that might be quite a nice way of finishing it off, just so when people come down, because this is going to be all the piglet pens, when they come down it's somewhere the kids can kind of lean over. Anyway, not that it's a farm park, but when people come, they come for the piglets. All right, we're gonna go for a cup of tea. All right, back for more. Get this corner sorted, then we'll get strained up. Alright, we're ready for the pull. Might just move this down. The dog is teasing the piglets and she's not happy about it. Alright, let's just make sure we're good down here. So the idea is we're going to come up. Well, obviously that's level. So if we aim for the board to be level with here, I'm going to run this wire level because I intend to bring all this ground level up a little bit. So we're fourth wire up should be level with the top board, and of course we can correct that with the staples in a minute. Just make sure we're okay, that's fine. Push it up. That's pretty tidy. Looks pretty plumb. Let's go one more. Hello, girl. No. You disruptive thing. Oh. Hey, leave the dog alone, you big bully. Well, we did alright for a mid-morning fencing sesh. Everything is now strained, stapled off, and pretty pig-proof for now. What I'm going to be doing is sorting out all the levels in here. Ideally, when the pigs are gone, over to the other side, I might try and seed this, but obviously it's not the best time of year for that. But it would be good to get something green here before winter. Not that it will last. But this is purely winter pen. It's freely draining here. We've got all this sort of type 1 gravelly stuff going on here. I don't really want to incorporate that into the pig areas because it will just get messed around. But this one strip along the hedge line here, where there's going to be sort of a handling area, might not be a bad idea. It is soily. It's not this stuff actually, it's the stuff down the far end. It's kind of soil and gravel in together. So that would just give us a chance to level it, compact it, and hopefully have something a bit more robust. And then I'm just going to sort out the levels in here just to make sure that there's no gaps under the fencing. This is tight enough now. Well, I say, I'm not as heavy as a sow. But when they push against this, it's not going to be putting much pressure at all onto the boards, because obviously they're not that sturdy. So I don't think I need to put another rail on the inside, which is one idea I did have. And then I was thinking I could set an electric strand off, basically to keep them off the wire altogether, because they do like a good old rub. But at the end of the day, they got some big old pylons here to mess around with if they need to. So the idea probably is going to be to have 2, possibly 3 pens here. The chances of us ever farrowing 3 at the same time is very slim. So normally there's a group of pigs somewhere else, and it will just be that on the occasion we want to bring in either piglets that have weaned, which is what's going to be happening this week, or if we've got farrowing. So we've got 3 of these arcs in total. So I'm going to swap the one over in the secret meadow, and we'll just have 3 arcs along here. And when I have chance, I'll get Tom to come back and get him to knock in all these intermediate posts, because it's so hard, the ground here, that we need a tractor for it. So we know we're well away from the cables that went under here, so it's just down here that I might put in 1 row of fence, which will mean that the pigs are that side and I can divide that up myself. And then everything on the left of here will probably be where we put the scales, a load of hurdles, and have a bit of a sorting area. So that's the bit I want to design on paper first, just so I know I can bring in sheep, cows, whatever it is, from this field, funnel them down through this gate. They'll go in there, and if I get them used to that, going in, having a feed and letting them go again, it won't be so traumatic rounding them up, because they'll know that it's not the end of the world. They can go in here. It also means that we'll have that gate the other end, which is hung already. It just needs some recalibration with the fencing. It means that we can do the same from coming down the track at the end. They can be brought in here. Coming in from that field, they can be brought in here. And moving between those fields and this field, we can now come via this area rather than going into the paddock, which usually involves them disappearing off to higher ground and nicer green grass. So if we want to just get them through, this is going to be that corridor. I like the idea of this, so I'm just not quite sure how I'm going to do it to be multi-purpose yet. I've got an arc. It's a bit big. That one over there, it's like a bigger arc which we cut down. It would probably be high enough for the cows to get in as well. So there's potential that I could just tuck that in against the hedgerow, and they've got a bit of a winter area, even though we're going to try and outwinter anyway, and we've got the cow shed if needed. But that sort of intermediate time when it's just absolutely hammering it down, and we haven't got the luxury of any big trees in this field, they can get under there. But trees is one plan for this field. I mean, like literally 3 or 4 right bang slap in the middle of the field, more like parkland type trees that over the decades will grow up into, you know, nice big trees that will give shelter, shade. This is a very exposed field, and we want to make the most of it. We're not going to be putting kind of crops in here, and even if we're cutting hay from it, it's not the end of the world if we've got just some isolated trees. So it needs a bit of planning. I don't want to rush that one. So we're not done. We've still got gates to hang. Actually, I want to drive over this gate, see if I can straighten it. Now, if you just stumbled across this random video of me messing around with pigs, but you want to see a bit more fencing, when we bought this farm, there was not a lot of fencing, and we've now done a lot of fencing. So if you want to see a bit more, there's a playlist. I'll try and link to it down in the description. If not, head over to the channel, search there, and you'll find out how we fenced 4 or 5 kilometers at least so far of all of the perimeters, new paddocks and all sorts going on there. And we used quite a lot of different products over the last few years, different timbers, different wire, different stapling techniques, all sorts of stuff. So if you want to check it out, you can do that. Before I go, quick reminder, we have a load of new stock in the online farm shop. So lamb is back in stock, our goat boxes are in stock, and our goat burgers and lamb burgers are ready for the summer months. So if you want to pick up any of that, we send it out on a Monday normally. It's £15 delivered anywhere in the country, give or take, I think, and fully insulated packaging, and we can send that off pretty much the day you order it, depending on when you order it. But we just like to send ideally on a Monday or Tuesday, so we know it gets to you in the middle of the week. But again, all that's down in the description. We'll leave it there. Take care, see you next time.